Next up, we're going to go ahead and jump into winners and losers from free agency and our scope and our perspective and what that means for the Chicago Bulls. I can already tell you right now, my opinion on the winners and losers as it pertains to the Chicago Bulls specifically is probably going to frustrate some people, but that's what I'm here to do sometimes. I love to frustrate people. So Pat, you want to take this one away first? What's one of the winners from free agency for you as far as the team?
Pains me to say it, but you got to give props where props is due. I still think we're going to kick the crap out of them. But I have to say, one of the winners to me so far is the Atlanta Hawks. Because
Okay.
you got now there's still a ton of question marks on what that team is going to be able to do, right? But you got DeJounte Murray for a bag of balls, a sack of peanuts, a half-dead dog, and the bullet to put it down with. Like, they gave up nothing. Like, I was just we gave up some picks that we hope we're not in a position to use. You know what I mean? Like, so I
But I
look
tell
at
you what, though, if this does not work out for the Atlanta Hawks, those picks could be way higher than people are expecting, because if for some reason this doesn't work out, they gave up.
It's true, right? But I feel like the perception that we thought around it that the team was going to look like has changed completely, right? Like I thought that was going to be a team that 2 years ago I kept saying it. 2 years ago they were in the ECF. They completely are planning on rebuilding that team. I don't know if that's the case anymore. We've gone the entire free agency in pretty much 2 weeks now, and I haven't heard about a John Collins trade. I haven't heard about a Clint Capella trade anymore. Those were names we were hearing, and I was like, who the heck's playing defense on this team? Right? Like DeJounte Murray's 6'4", Trae Young's 5'10", lying to say he's 6'1". Like, it's still an incredibly small backcourt. DeJounte Murray's a great defender with a 6'10" wingspan, but it's an incredibly small backcourt. So I was like, who's playing behind them? Because it's going to be real hard to stop people. But if you've still got John Collins, you've still got Clint Capella. They added Justin Holiday to that bench, as well as
I forgot about the Justin Holiday.
I can't think of the other dude. Is Mo Harkless, right? Mo Harkless is on that bench as well now, right? Like, they've got some nice pieces on that team. I think they've done an excellent job this offseason. I think they've done a pretty good job in free agency, just kind of getting guys in there. And well, I guess it's more offseason than free agency, but I like what the Hawks have done in this offseason.
Yeah, and I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna name mine, and these are two winners that were in the same trade. And this is one of the rare times I think both teams won this trade, and that is the Minnesota Timberwolves and Utah Jazz in the Rudy Gobert trade. I think that what the Minnesota Timberwolves gained in getting a player like Rudy Gobert, which allows now Karl Anthony Towns to do a little bit more floating out there and not have to be the rebounder and everything for that team, could be dangerous. We'll see how it works out. But right now, at least on paper, without seeing it on the court, they improved that team dramatically as far as their defensive capabilities, while maintaining all of their offensive work. They didn't give up a lot for it. Now, on the other end, while I do think, even though I said the Minnesota Timberwolves didn't, well, they gave up a lot as far as draft capital, but why the Utah Jazz also won that trade is that you get a player in Walker Kessler, who, while not the defensive player that Rudy Gobert is, nobody will say that. You get a player who was the reigning defensive player of the year in college basketball, who averaged 4 blocks per game, who can rebound for you, who's going to be a monster in pick and roll potentially with Donovan Mitchell. And then on top of that, you're getting 3 unprotected picks, first rounders. That's rare in the NBA. Rare in the NBA.
Now the question there becomes, right, like, do you expect those picks to be pretty low? It's not even because of Rudy Gobert. I'm not gonna lie to you. Anthony Edwards is such a dog. I think that Minnesota's time is next up. Like, Anthony Edwards, I just watch him play sports, and I'm just like, what aren't you good
at? Here's a hot take, literally. And I'm gonna look directly in the camera with this.
Zoom in on yourself.
In 3 years, Anthony Edwards will be considered top 3 of the best basketball players in the NBA. Mark my words. Mark my words.
I was trying to see if I could get that shorter, but it's probably going to take 3 years for everybody to kind of admit it, because it took about that long for Muggs to finally start looking at Luka that way. And like, Luka ain't that good. He don't.
And people still don't even want to admit sometimes that KD is the best player in the NBA. Like,
there's certain numbers, right, that players end up putting up where you just have to be like, all right, when you saw like top playoff scores in NBA history, and then you saw Michael Jordan, Luka, there's like 0.3 between them. It's like, all right, let me.
Exactly.
What am I saying?
Exactly. I'm gonna go ahead and get into my loser. The loser in this, to me, has to be because they lost the best player in free agency, and that's the Dallas Mavericks. Losing Jalen Brunson for what they lost him for, not matching that deal, and just choosing not to. And the only reason why I have to make them the default losers is because I would say that Jalen, as far as free agents, right? We can talk about players that moved via trade, but as far as free agents, Jalen Brunson was the best statistically free agent out there on the market, and they lost him. So the Dallas Mavericks got to go in my loser pile.
I'm not mad at that take.
Mm-hmm.
But do we also give them some leeway because they also brought back Christian Wood, essentially giving you a 1-2 punch of Luka, who's going to play the point anyway, with a big man that can run the floor, stretch the floor, and still give you a lot of what you need there. And Spencer Dinwiddie does give you a lot of production. Can't talk right now, standing next to Luka.
I'll say this. If it wasn't for them acquiring Christian Wood, remember I said I gave the caveat that they are the loser because they gave up the best player. If it wasn't for them getting Christian Wood, they'd be the loser. That's the only thing that saved them, that gave them that caveat. So
my loser in free agency, I feel like it's such an easy target, right? But it was the one that I just was like, you didn't do anything. Like, you made a signing, but you did. The Orlando Magic, what are y'all doing?
Oh, I mean,
what are y'all doing?
Listen,
bro?
they had the number one pick, bro. Like, I mean,
the Mo Bamba deal, though.
Bro,
like,
the fact that they
maybe it's because I wanted Mo. Maybe it's that.
But
too.
Wait, they got Mo Bamba, Bobo,
that's what I'm saying.
Poncho, Wendell Carter. Like, they are going to have the biggest team in the NBA this season by height.
Bro, what are they finna be, the Cavs?
I don't know, bro. And people think we're the Cavs are crazy for having 3 bigs. The Orlando Magic got 5 of them. They can literally run they won't do it, but they can literally run a 5-player matchup of all 7-footers.
You literally improved nothing. And I will say this, right? We had the conversation about max players. I think another loser in free agency for me is now I didn't get a max deal, right? But to me, Philadelphia.
Yeah, what are they doing?
I don't know. Like, and a lot of people view it as a winner, right? Because they went and got 37-year-old PJ Tucker, which I'm fine with you
for
going
$30
to get
million.
That's the problem.
That's and that's why I said, right, the player.
Like, I view the Bulls as a winner in free agency because Drummond's coming in. He's going to give you really good production for $3.3 million. Dragic coming in, and he can knock down the 3-pointers. You name the stats in the last pod for $2.9 million. You got Derrick Jones Jr. back for yes, they're not the sexy names, but you got a bunch of guys that are going to come out and do a job for $3 million. PJ Tucker makes 10 times as much as them just to go out there. Let's be real. Stop Giannis.
Yeah.
They got him for one reason.
The reason why the Bulls can't be losers for me is they didn't lose anybody worth that you didn't want to lose.
Yeah.
And they added some players that aren't flashy, but they didn't overspend on it. Look at all the players that you can say that got overspent on. Yeah. The Bulls did not overspend on a single free agent that they brought in. Now, yes, would we like to see them spend more on better free agents? Yeah. But at the same time, woulda, coulda, shoulda. We can't hurt them for a player that we don't know for sure would have come. Well, Mo, it was reported Mo wanted to come here, so we can give him that one. But outside of that, the Bulls didn't lose anybody that was worth keeping.
I'll say this, right, and here's one. It's a tough one to say, right, but and you mentioned one side of it with Dallas. Can we also call New York losers in free agency because you spent a bunch of money on Jalen Brunson, but you really didn't make your team better?
Well, they could be losers of offseason because they had the 11th overall pick and decided to walk away from the draft with no young players, and then spent money on Hartenstein and went ahead and re-signed Mitchell Robinson as well. Like, yeah, you brought in Brunson, heck of a player.
You brought in Brunson, right? But like, are you going to play Mitchell Robinson because you re-signed him?
I'm higher on what the Knicks did than you. I don't see them as losers, but I see them as spending a lot of money to stay exactly where they were.
Bro, that's a loser. You spent $100 million and you still finna have 39 wins next year.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.